France. Queen Isabeau had just signed the Treaty of Troyes, granting French succession to English royalty. It caused popularity, so much so that a prophecy began circulating which read what had been lost by a woman would be saved by a woman, and that woman would turn out to be none other than Joan of Arc. This fate-fulfilling femme took to the battlefield and led France to victory, reversing almost a century of French defeats from the English in just 1 year. As fictional as this may sound, it gets even stranger. Historians claim that the prophecy came from Merlin. Yes, that Merlin, the wizard from Arthurian legend. While it's debated whether or not this so-called wizard ever existed, his supposed prophecies were recorded in manuscripts around 1140. But before you start wondering what kind of magic mushrooms these historians have been growing on their books, archives show that the prophecy is repeatedly mentioned in Joan of Arc's trial. So, to summarize, by total coincidence, a made-up English magician is credited with prophesizing that all of France would be saved by a lady almost 300 years before it happened. Don't do drugs, kids. Do history instead.
Prophet at the college. Go to Blue Letter Bible and put it in. Prophet at the college. However, the prophecy did not come true. Get out, get out, get out. Prophecy didn't come true. All right. Well, a good and wholesome thing is little harmless fun in the world. It tones a body up and keeps him human and prevents him from souring. To set that little trap for Catherine was as good and effective a way as any to show her what a grotesque thing she was asking of Joan. It was a funny idea now, wasn't it, when you look at it all around? Even Catherine dried up her tears and laughed when she thought of the English getting hold of the French commander-in-chief's reason for staying out of battle. She granted that they could have a good time over a thing like that. We got to work on the letter again, and of course did not have to strike out the passage about the wound. Joan was in fine spirits, but when she got to sending messages for this, that, and the other, old playmate and friend, it brought up village and the fairy tree and the flowery plain and the browsing sheep and all the peaceful beauty of our old humble home place back. And the familiar names began to tremble on her lips. And when she got to Haumette and Little Minguette, it was no use. Her voice broke and she couldn't go on. She waited a moment, then said, "Give them my love, my warm love, my deep love. Oh, out of my heart of hearts, I shall never see our home any more." Now came Pasquerel, Joan's confessor, and introduced a gallant knight, the Sire de Fez, who had been sent with a message. He said he was instructed to say that the council had decided that enough had been done. What is this? What more was that? Fell off. What was that? Oh yeah. No. We're not discussing it. Luke didn't see it. Maybe. See what God had already done, that the city was now well victualled and able to stand a long siege, that the wise course was necessarily be to withdraw the troops from the other side of the river and resume the defensive. Therefore, they had decided accordingly. "The incurable cowards!" exclaimed Joan. "So it was to get me away from my men that they pretended so much solicitude about my fatigue. Take this message back, not to the council. I have no speeches for those disguised ladies' maids, but to the bastard and La Hire, who are men. Tell them the army is to remain where it is, and I hold them responsible if this command miscarries. and say the offensive will be resumed in the morning. You may go, good sir. Then she said to her priest, rise early and be by me all day. There will be much work on my hands, and I shall be hurt between my neck and my shoulder. So, anyway, I know I did that monologue because I still do the joke. I heard voices. Just trying to blow the fire out. Pray for us, St. Joan. We were up at dawn, and after Mass, we started. In the hall, we met the master of the house, who was a grieved, good man, to see Joan going breakfastless to such a day's work, and begged her to wait and eat, but she couldn't afford the time. That is to say, she couldn't afford the patience, she being such a blaze of anxiety to get at the last remaining Bastille, which stood between her and the completion of the first great step in the rescue and redemption of France. Bouchard put in another plea. But think, we poor beleaguered citizens who have hardly known the flavor of fish for these many months have spoil of that sort again, and we owe it to you. There's a noble shad for breakfast. Wait, be persuaded, Joan said. Oh, there's going to be fish in plenty. When this day's work is done, the whole river front will be yours to do as you please with it. Ah, your excellency will do well, that I know, but we don't require quite that much, even of you. You shall have a month for it in place of a day. Now be beguiled, wait and eat. There's a saying that he would cross a river twice in the same day in a boat. Would do well to eat fish for luck, lest he have an accident. That doesn't fit my case, for today I come but once in a boat. Oh, don't say that. Aren't you coming back to us? Yes, but not in a boat. Hey, what are you doing? You snuck out?
Eat coconut in the bed.
Well, go back and eat coconuts in the bed.
I'll show you. I'll show you.
I'm so glad you're eating.
I'll
Okay.
show you.
All right. What was that? That was Turtle's bowl. Oh,